Oh, what's going on? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. My name is Justin Moore. I'm the founder of Creator Wizard, where I teach you how to find and negotiate your dream sponsorships. Excited to be back for another live stream. Today, we're going to be talking about something I am very excited to share with you, which is the behind the scenes of how I'm restructuring my Creator Wizard business. We're going to get deep into the weeds. Is that something that y'all like? Let me know in the chat where you're tuning in from. I am live across YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, probably something else that I don't know about. But it's really good to see y'all here. I see everyone starting to trickle in the chat here. We've got Thomas Kimberlin 20. Where's the Cougars? We've got Six Blanco, Freedom, Animal Rescue, Kyle Schuler. Good to see y'all here. Let me pull up my IG so I can see who's over there. There we are. And we've got Unaffiliated Fan. What's going on? Good to see you. Lift Laugh Liz, as well as others. Good to see here. We got Anna Sugarman tuning in from NYC. All right. So as you know, every Friday I do these live streams. My time is your time. And I'm going to be talking, obviously answering Q&As about sponsorships, negotiations, brand deals, etc. But first, let's get the juices flowing. And I'm going to be talking about how I'm restructuring my business. So for those of y'all who have been following me for a while now, know that I teach a couple different programs, like more advanced, like paid programs. And one in particular, which I kind of call my, I guess, signature offer, my signature course, is called Brand Deal Wizard. Currently, it is a 4-week program that I teach live 3 times a year. So we just wrapped up the 8th cohort. Typically, I teach them live in the winter time, so like the February, March timeframe. Then there's a summer cohort, which is in the June, July timeframe, and then we have a fall cohort, which is October, November, and that's how we've done it for the last couple of years. And it's awesome. Like I absolutely love that format. Like it's basically taught live over Zoom. It's a pretty intense lift though. So it's, usually there's like sessions 3 times a week. There's the instructional session with me, once a week, and then over a 4-week period. And there's guest sessions. Like we actually have guest experts that come in from brands and agencies and managers and you name it. It's amazing. And then office hours, right? Which is taught by Dee, who is our community manager. And so that's like the kind of the 4-week sprint. And we go through kind of the nuts to bolts of how you can create a robust sponsorship strategy. And so it's been an absolutely amazing program. I've just been so, we've improved it and iterated the course material over the last a couple of years and have just consistently made it better. And so it's been like a really big learning lesson for me because I've never done anything like this. I've never taught, in that format. And so, I wanted to talk about let's go to the basics of why am I thinking about kind of blowing up this thing that seems to be working, right? Because I think as creators, we're very fraught to make changes to things that seem to be working, whether it's our organic content strategy, right? We're posting videos that seem to be working, or posts or podcasts or newsletters, whatever it is. And yet we still feel in the back of our minds that there is either something missing from what you're currently doing, or you feel like you're not optimizing it to have the biggest impact, both from a customer kind of follower impact, but also revenue impact, right? We talk a lot about that in terms of monetization here. And so I kind of want to just talk about that piece first because, there's a lot to it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is why am I just generally experimenting with the new course format? And so at the very, if I had to distill it down to a very simplified explanation, every time that I would launch a cohort, I would send out a survey after the enrollment closed, basically asking, what's the number one reason that you didn't join in this time around? And there was a bunch of different options, like, oh, I'm too busy, or, oh, I prefer self-study, or, oh, I took other programs and they weren't that effective, so I'm not sure this one's going to be any different. A bunch. There was 6, 7, 8 different options or whatever. And literally every time I sent out that survey, the number one response was, I'm just too busy. I'm too busy. I prefer self-study, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to be in a live, I'm an introvert. I don't want to be in a live environment. And so it really got me thinking, man, there is this huge swath of learners, this huge swath of creators who just do not have whether it's schedule bandwidth or instructional learning style, or something like that to actually participate in this thing in a live cohort. And in fact, I've had people tell me this like too, not just in surveys, like DM me, emails, all this stuff. Like I'm too busy. I can't do it. Right. And so this is what really started the whole thing off. Was like, okay, how can I create a version of this program that allows people to learn at their own speed, but also take the elements, the really magical elements of the kind of a live element, and still encapsulate that in this new format. And so what I didn't want to do, like I was very clear about, like I didn't want to just go the like fully on demand, right? You sign up, you log in, you watch all the videos, like, and that's it. Good luck, peace. You know, like I never have interaction with the students ever. And like, that's not something I really want to do either, because I really enjoy the kind of live learning, like interactivity aspect. And so I was like, how can I actually structure this so that there could still be touch points? So I could, you know, get on, answer questions, like do the Q&A, like all that stuff, help, you know, hear people's like negotiations that they're working on, how they could strategize those things, et cetera. And so basically, this was the challenge, is like how do I accommodate different type of learners, right? The other, just from the other aspect from like a business sense, because we talk a lot about that here, right, is that in essence, for this course, there was only 30 days out of the entire calendar year that people could actually join. Because every time I would open enrollment for the course, it was basically about a 10 to 11 day period that enrollment was open. It was like, okay, open enrollment, like come join. And then it's like 10 days later, okay, it's closed. Like you have to wait another like 3-4 months basically, right? And just from like a business continuity, a business revenue predictability standpoint, that's not great business, right? It's like, yeah, I had these huge capital injections 3 times a year, which was fine. But like on the time, like, you know, in between, right? There was so many people who were just like, I want to learn this stuff right now. And you're telling me I got to wait 2-3 months. It's like, no, that's not great. And so it's like, how can I design a structure where it's like people can enroll all year long, and yet they still have access to like, you know, kind of like live support, right? And so this was the challenge. And so essentially we landed on what we're calling a hybrid version of the course. And so what it's going to be is you're going to be able to access the core course collateral on demand. So basically, like all the things I actually teach in the main, like basically like the pure knowledge transfer stuff, where I just have to get it out of my brain and tell you, this is how it works. This is how you should do it, right? Here's the frameworks. Here's the methodologies. Here's the strategies. Here's the email templates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of that is going to be on demand now in this new version. And in addition to that, there's going to be a bunch of other amazing stuff so for example, 8 weeks access is what we're looking at right now, 8 weeks access to live office hours. And so this is something that, again, we previously only ever did during the cohorts. So we had weekly office hours, but now we're basically going to be running office hours all year long. So every other week, essentially, we're going to be having office hours. And so no matter when you join the program, there's going to be a live office hour session like just around the corner, right? No matter when you sign up. So essentially you get 8 weeks access. And so the calls are every other week. So it's four live calls basically that you'll get access to when you join. And then there'll be mechanisms if you want to continue to get live support, obviously, but you know, and then obviously you're still going to have the live community, or the community space, the forums. There's going to be like a bunch of like guest expert sessions that like we have so much so many replays from guest sessions, and I'm actually getting ahead of myself because I do want to talk about like how we're actually structurally changing it, but I just wanted to like at the outset kind of describe like this is really the thrust of the main change of what we're going to be doing. And so I just want to take a quick pause there, acknowledge some folks in the chat. We have Sarah Dawn here saying, I learned about you from the Niman Live broadcasts, and this is the first time I've caught you live. So great to connect with you, Sarah. Thanks for being here. And we got tuning in the IG chat. We got a bunch of folks in the IG chat today. Sweet My Home, Lover Girly, Dorothy Ilson. Oh, Dorothy, what's going on, Dorothy? Pretty Distressed, Scorch Flames, Sarah Dawson Designs, Brim Factor, Being Corey. Good to see y'all. Lupe Netro, thank you y'all for being here. Okay, so let's dive back in. So we talked about like why making the change. We talked about the actual hybrid nature of the actual how the course is going to material will be delivered, and then what I wanted to kind of talk about now is like how we actually are going to make these changes tactically in the course, because you know we have so to describe how the current format happened is that people would join, and then they would get access to a community space on Circle. Okay. And we had these different rooms, and in each room, like different people had different access levels. So we have, in one room, for example, the course schedule for the live course, right? So, okay, here's, the Zoom links for all the upcoming courses. Here's for the guest sessions. Here's the room where it has all the replays here, that we're posting from the course. Here's the room where it's the community. Here's the room where there's all the downloadable resources and checklists and calculators and all this stuff, right? So that was kind of the basic structure of how the course was delivered. But to be able to shift to this new format, there's a bunch of things that we had to change. So number one, I'm a glutton for, I don't know why I do this, but like I'm a glutton for pain apparently. And like I decided like, okay, now is the perfect time to make these other gargantuan changes that I've been wanting to make in the business. Number one, for example, is that a new website. Like I had my website hosted on Webflow for the longest time, and I was not happy with it. It just wasn't a great visual representation of my brand or anything like that. So that was a huge project. I hired Sarah Loretta, who's an amazing designer. She completely redesigned my website from the ground floor up on Squarespace. So we migrated over to Squarespace, which allowed me to do other things that I'll describe. So now that we had the website on Squarespace, there was so that was the number one, is like previously I had the website, on Webflow, and then I had my course sales page and affiliate solution and checkout and all that stuff in Thinkific, which is basically a course platform. And there's a bunch of different course platforms out there, Uscreen, Kajabi, Teachable, Podia, like there's a lot of different ones. But because of the fact that I was basically kind of doubling down on Circle as not only my community space, but my course delivery mechanism, they introduced basically like a courses feature on Circle where you could actually like have it be your LMS, which is like your learning management system. I basically said, you know what, I'm going to ditch Thinkific. I'm not going to use it anymore because I'm not even really using those aspects of the program. And I am just going to go all in on Circle, and I'm just going to have my Squarespace website and Circle. And that was it. But because I made that change, that also means that there was like a bunch of technical changes that we needed to make in terms of how people actually checked out from the website. So now the sales pages are going to be on Squarespace. I'm going to have a checkout solution, which is called Pay Kickstart, which is something I've never used. Again, all these new tools that I'm trying to incorporate and learn and all this stuff. But it's going to be for the best. It seems a little insane right now, but it's definitely going to be for the best. And so definitely had to do that. In terms of structuring the new community, this was like a really challenging thing that my community manager Dee and I had to think through, because we wanted to figure out a way. We have like hundreds of students as alumni from the live cohorts, and we wanted to think, how can we get those, like all the alumni, to be able to kind of gel with all of these new students that are going to be coming in for this new format. We didn't want to wall them off, because like there's so much value that alumni can have with like these new students coming in, answering questions, welcoming people, to create more of a, if you've ever come into a community that didn't have that many people in there, or it was like crickets or something, it's not a great experience, right? Because you're really excited. It's like the crescendo of your excitement of like joining a program or whatever it is, a community, and you go in there and it's like, oh, no one's posted in like 3 months or whatever. It doesn't feel great, right? And so it's like, how can you leverage all this great momentum that we had from past cohorts to gel with these new students, right? So we had to really think through, how do we structure the course spaces, who has access to what, and this type of thing. And then also, like, because we're going to be, transitioning a lot of the knowledge transfer to be kind of on demand at your leisure, and kind of, okay, I have this question, where do I find an answer to this? We decided to create something called a knowledge base, where if you've ever like tried to figure stuff out, like using a piece of software program or whatever, they have these knowledge bases where you can go, you can ask questions, type in questions and find answers. And so we're moving towards that direction of like chopping up all of these Q&As. We've done so many Q&As and answer sessions and office hours and all this stuff, right? How can we create a central repository for all of this knowledge so that it's really easy to find? So if you have a situation where a brand said X to you, like how did we answer that question, or how did other students handle that in the past, right? So starting to build this like giant pool of knowledge that people can access forever, right, on demand. So really excited about the knowledge base. Also, we've done all these guest expert sessions that I was mentioning, right? So managers, brands, agencies, other creators who have like done amazing things with their businesses. And so, people in this new format will have access to all of those on demand, which is awesome. And then also, this is something I'm really excited about, is I'm creating what I'm calling a bonus vault, which is that I've made like so many friendships over the last few years, kind of doing this online businessy stuff. And a bunch of my friends are doing amazing things too. And I want to shine a spotlight on them because they have lots of cool like digital products and workshops and things like that I would love to be able to offer to my students. And so I basically went to them and I was like, for example, one of my friends, Jay Klaus, if you don't know him, his brand is Creator Science, and he's amazing. He has an amazing podcast, newsletter, etc. So definitely go check him out. But he has all these workshops that, I've been in, I've seen them, and they're amazing. And I basically came to him and I was like, dude, I would really love to be able to offer these workshops to my students. Can we do some sort of swap? Like, I'll give you some of my stuff, you give me some of your stuff, everyone's happy, this type of idea. And that's what we did. So I gave him my gifted to paid course, my kind of, introductory course. And I basically allowed him to offer that course for free to his membership students, membership community. And then he gave me a bunch of his workshops. And so just like cool stuff like that are going to be kind of perks of getting access to this new format of program. And then again, I talked about this kind of like just the technical aspect, but like with the hybrid version of the program, one of the primary lead generation tactics for that is going to be running paid advertising. And so, but we're running paid advertising to webinar. So I've never done a webinar before. And I've always thought like this is something I feel is missing from my business, because I do not have a single content resource other than like this landing page of my course. So yeah, you can go there, you can read a bunch of stuff, but I do not have like a start to finish, like full, like really detailed overview of the program. I don't have that anywhere other than the landing page. And like, I am a video guy. Like, I think I'm pretty dynamic on video, right? And so it's like the fact that I didn't have any single place that I could point people to be like, hey, you want to learn about the program? Or like, how you can, consistently land sponsorships. I never had anywhere to point them other than like, oh, here, join the wait list for the course, and in 3 months you'll learn about it, right? That does not seem like that does not make good business sense, right? And so I was like, you know what? I think I really need to figure out this kind of crack this webinar thing, right? And so basically the paid advertising is me running. So not only can anyone sign up for the webinar, obviously, anyone in my audience, on my newsletter, et cetera, but in terms of like consistent generating leads of like new people who may be interested in this, then that's a whole other strategy. And you might see Dorothy here in the chat. Dorothy and her team are helping me with this entire strategy because it's a big undertaking. And so, and the really cool thing, just real quick side note about Dorothy, is that Dorothy is actually an alumni in my program. I think I've told you this before, Dorothy, that, I have had hundreds, literally in my inbox on a daily basis. I have people, agencies, business people try and be like, hey, let me help you scale up your course. Let me help you do this XYZ. I think you can like really have a bigger impact. Let me help you do it. And I always just I never wanted to entertain any of that stuff because, again, like we're talking about fears right now. Like I didn't want to screw up I didn't want to screw up something that seemed like it was working, right? And it wasn't until Dorothy basically went through my course, and this is like the softest sales pitch of all time. Like Dorothy basically at the end was just like, this course was amazing. By the way, in my, I have a side, the reason I joined this course is I have a newsletter totally unrelated to her core business. I also run this agency where I help course creators kind of scale up basically and have a bigger impact. If you ever want to chat, let me know. It was like the softest sales pitch of all time. And I was like, sure, Dorothy, let's talk. So we jumped on a Zoom call. We talked this whole thing out. It was like a therapy session. And I kind of like slowly arrived at this new format that, I was really, really excited about. And so we ultimately did sign the deal and basically started down this road of like restructuring all this stuff that we've been talking about here. And so again, there's the webinars, learning new webinar software, right? So I'm using Demio for my webinar, using just other tools to be able to, actually do this format. I had to create a webinar. My webinar is 209 slides, y'all. I spent so many hours on this webinar going through it in so much detail, talking through not just the program, but all of the obstacles and the challenges and the mindset issues that people have when it comes to working with brands. And so it's a really, really valuable thing. Even if you don't even sign up for the program, I really am going to recommend people go flow through it because it paints a really good picture of like, what it takes to actually have a sustainable income working with brands. And so I'm so excited about like finally launching this webinar. So it's the webinar, it's the paid ads, it's new email automations, right? Like we had to write all these new email sequences for people who show up for the webinars. When people ultimately join the program now, they're going to get this really like robust email automation sequence. So you join the program and then, in the first week, you're going to get multiple emails like automated where it's like, okay, here's what you're going to expect in module 1. Here's what, some sub modules here. Make sure to check out these guest sessions. Make sure to join office hours that are upcoming. Make sure to XYZ. So it's like, there's all these moving pieces of all these different like things that you need when you're going to be transitioning to a format like this. So it was just like, man, the behind the scenes. I actually posted on Twitter my to-do list of like, here is like 100 things that I have to do before I launch this in the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. So yeah, that was crazy. And then, so that's like kind of the tactics. Before we get into Q&A, I just kind of wanted to round this topic out talking about the fears and excitement that I'm feeling right now. Cause I feel very transparent. I feel very raw. I feel very vulnerable when I talk about this type of stuff. I think, and I hope y'all appreciate that because it's like, a lot of us are going through this stuff together, whether we're, working with brands or doing sponsorships, or maybe you are also already selling things directly to your audience, like courses or workbooks or checklists or coaching or whatever it is. I talk about a lot of these types of topics here too, because I think this is a reality for a lot of creators is that they're monetizing their audiences and they're influenced in a lot of different ways. Right. And so I wanted to talk about the fears that like, what am I feeling right now inside? Because I don't think a lot of people talk about this aspect. The first one is that I have a fear that I'm going to just spend a ton of money and it doesn't work. Right? Because, like this is going to be tens of thousands of dollars to go to experiment with this, run paid ads, restructure all this stuff, paying, an agency, Dorothy and her team to help with this type of stuff. I have every confidence, by the way, that they're going to knock it out of the park, that we're all going to knock it out of the park. But again, it's like, it represents a risk. Like this is something I've never tried before. It feels like a calculated risk, right? But at the end of the day, still, it feels scary. It feels super scary. However, like the one like thing that I think is really important to realize in this, I kind of wanted to give like a little takeaway here about this fear, which helped me kind of overcome that, is that in life or in business, you always have either one-way doors or two-way doors. I can't quite remember where I first heard about this like analogy, but when you're faced with a tough decision, you have to think, okay, is this decision reversible? Can I go through this door and then come back through? Sometimes in life, there are decisions where it's like a one-way door and there's no coming back, right? And so those ones are much more fraught with, a lot of pros and cons and much more deliberation and all this stuff too. But it's like, in this situation, for me, this is very much a two-way door because it's like, I could go through this, we could try this, and maybe it doesn't work out. It's possible. It could not work out, but it's like, I can then just say, you know what? It didn't work out. I'm going to go back to just launching things the way I did before. And it's okay. It's okay to like be able to have this very, public failure, because I have the humility. I think I'm at a point in my life, in my career, to have the humility to be like, you know what? I tried this. It didn't work out, and that's okay. And so I think that that's like a really important litmus test for you to make this decision of like, okay, is this a one-way door or is this two-way door? And if it's a two-way door, I'm just going to go and try this thing because I can always walk it back and it's not going to be the end of the world. The only thing I'm basically going to lose is time. And yeah, like time is valuable, especially if we're all busy, we're all creators, right? But at the end of the day, like that's, you're not going to be losing much other than that, especially for a lot of these types of decisions. Dorothy says in the chat, one-way doors or two-way doors. I've never heard it put in those words. Love it. Yeah. Like 100%. Like this is, ever since I heard that, it stuck with me because it was like, very much a lot of these made it hard for it made it easier to make these really tough decisions that, we paralyze ourselves with when we get into like the nitty gritty analysis of all this stuff. Right. So that's the first fear. The second fear I would say is that, again, I'm going to fail in a very public way since I share so much about my business. And it's kind of a tricky situation with my business because I am in the business of authority. at the end of the day, right? Like my expertise is what I sell. That is my product, right? Like I'm going to help you dear creator who's watching or listening to this. I'm going to help you achieve some sort of outcome that I'm promising you, right? Whether it's watching my free content, whether you hire me for a one-on-one, whether you join in my courses, whatever, like I am making an authority driven promise, right? And so being like failing very publicly in this type of new format, of course, like that could look negatively on my business and my judgment as an authority, as an expert, right? And so like it's definitely fraught with that fear also, that it's like I want to seem credible, I want to be credible, and so man, then maybe there's this situation where it's like this thing fails, and then I kind of have egg on my face. But I think, pardon me, my voice cracked there. I guess I'm going through puberty today. Let me take a drink. I'm talking a mile a minute. I think that, one thing I've really realized over the years, and I think that this is a really important lesson for y'all listening, is that it's actually the vulnerabilities and stories of failure that, at least for me, endear me to people that I follow, that I look to for expertise. A really good example of this is someone I really look up to, actually, is Vanessa Lau. Those of you who follow this space or anything like that, she had this business called Bossgram Academy, where she taught people how to use Instagram to like grow their coaching businesses and stuff like that. But more than that, she had a bunch of other things that she was working on, but she really has kind of skyrocketed to fame over, to notoriety over the last couple of years. And she, famously did these like really, really, really in-depth blog post breakdowns of like everything that happened in her business in like the last 3 months. And she was like so detailed about the failures, all the bad decisions she made, and all the hiring stuff, and like all of the, just like how much money she lost, how much money she made. It was like so transparent. And I found myself so drawn to that type of transparency, because it's like, this is reality. This is what everyone is going through in business. Whether you have, you're doing sponsorships, you're creating content, you're doing courses, coaching, like whatever, however you're building this online business thing, everyone goes through these like ups and downs. Like I even have, right? Like I tried to launch a membership for alumni of my course, like several times, like 2 times, and it failed until I finally, like both times, and until I finally landed on a format that is really working well now, right? And so it's like, this is the type of thing that happens to everyone. And so, like I lean into this now about this kind of very public failure thing, because this is the reality. And so it's like, I just feel as though people will learn so much more than just like the glossy, like I'm killing it, like hustle culture, like boom, boom, boom. Look at how successful I am. Look at how successful you can be. Like all this stuff. Like I'm so transparent, especially about my courses. I come in, I say, look, this is not a get rich quick scheme. It's never going to be. Working with brands and developing a robust pipeline and strategy of working with partners is a multi-year process. So if your expectation coming into this program is that, oh, I'm going to get rich quick, I'm going to get all these brands, I'm going to make so much money, all this stuff too, like it's a rude awakening sometimes for people, because it's like, that is not what I teach. I teach like, let's build the foundation here. How can you start establishing how can you, number one, hone your creator identity so you're very polished, that brands actually start getting attracted to you, right? They come to you. The second thing is like, how do you build out your systems so that you can start pitching brands, you can start speculatively going out there and trying to forge these partnerships rather than waiting for everything to come inbound. How do you, develop your negotiation skills? How do you price properly? How do you develop the actual fulfillment process, where the moment you sign a deal, okay, now it's off to the races, and you actually have to produce the work, whatever the partnership is, right? And not just like mailing it in, right? Because I got the money, right? I got to sign the contract. And then at the end of it is like, how do you actually analyze the partnership to deliver results to the partner to help illustrate to them that it was successful, right? And so this is the methodology that I teach, and that to a lot of people is not sexy. It's like, oh, like I just give me the templates, give me the hacks, give me the tips, and all this stuff. And I'm just like, this is not the program for you if that's what you want. And so I'm very, very clear about that. And so it's the same way in which I share this stuff, because it was like, this is the reality. The reality of life is that there's ups and downs, right? Okay, so the final like thing that I am fearful of about this new change is that I'm fearful that I'm not going to be able to have the large impact that I want to have. right? To be able to reach a lot more creators, reach a lot more people with this approach. Because I'm so excited at the potential, like the idea of being able to not just reach 50 creators per cohort, which is, basically it's 150 creators total per year. Like that's awesome. And I'm so excited about that. But I do feel as though like there should exist a way for me to have more impact with people, with more creators so that they can get this knowledge in their hands to have more impact on their lives and businesses. Right. And so I'm fearful that this is not going to work and I'm just not going to be able to have the impact that I want. And so like that is, that's like a really big fear of mine. Because again, at the end of the day, I've talked about this, like it's not about the money to me. Like my wife and I have had so much success over the last decade plus of being creators that it's like, and we're still doing great, right? We still have that portion of our business, but like this new stuff that I'm doing now, I truly feel is like, this is my duty. This is my charge to help educate the next generation of creators, right? And so it's like the money will come because it's a byproduct of serving people, right? That's not my primary motivation. And so actually, it's a great. Before we get into the Q&A, like this is the things I'm excited about because I wanted to share the fears and the excitement. The number one is that. I'm going to be able to help way more people. How amazing is that, right? I'm not going to have to make people wait to have this impact on their lives and businesses. People will reach out really excited. Oh, I just watched this YouTube video or I read this newsletter or this article on your website. I'm ready to join your course. This is amazing. And I'm just like, womp, womp. It's like, okay, you got to wait like 4 months now. You got to wait 3 months. So they're at this like pinnacle of their excitement. And I'm just like, sorry, you got to wait, right? And so I'm so excited to be able to have a mechanism to be able to be like, awesome. Go watch this webinar. Like you're going to learn about the program and you can join right away. This type of idea. And guess what? We have office hours in 2 days, kind of thing. That's so exciting to me. I'm so excited about that. Number two, candidly, right? More stability for my business, right? Which is going to allow me to forecast revenue and headcount better, right? I now have multiple people helping me in my business. And so it's like, I've been relying on these like, major capital injections 3 times a year to be able to fund the people that I'm paying to help me with all the things that I'm doing in my business, my content, my newsletters, like, the courses, all this stuff, right? And so now the ability to have a more predictable revenue stream, is just so exciting to me. And then the final thing that I'm excited about is I just love trying new things. That's the spice of life. Like, I feel as though as a creator, anyone listening to this, like that's also a big lesson for y'all is like experimenting with potentially new content formats or new platforms or things that you may not have tried before. I, for the longest time, resisted short form content, right? Like I consider myself a YouTuber, like a long form video. That's what I do. That's what I know and all this stuff. And so I resisted short form for the longest time. And then until I finally tried it and I was like, this is so fun. Like I love doing this, right? And now like I post a short, I repurpose them and, I'm very creative about how I can get, content and all that stuff. But it was like, it's a really exciting new format. And so the same ideology, comes here is that like, I just love trying new things. It's the spice of life. I know that, what, if this thing doesn't work out, I feel pretty confident that it's going to work out, but even if it doesn't, I'll figure out something else to have that impact that I want to have. And so it's like, I just wanted to like, get the juices flowing today with the Q&A about this topic. Because so many people have, emailed me, asked me about it. When are you going to introduce something that I can, join the course right away, this type of thing. And so I'm finally excited to just like kind of share a little bit behind the scenes. It's not launched yet. Like, again, it's not launched yet, but I just kind of wanted to like start talking about it because this is something that's going to be coming in the next like, few months. So the other like really, I think, important thing I'll mention about this is that this may mean, if it goes well, this may mean that we reduce the amount of times that we do the live cohort. So I still think that we may run at least one live cohort a year. But perhaps the main majority of the way in which we can serve people is with this hybrid model. And so again, I do think there is something so special about that kind of fully live, synchronous educational environment in a cohort. You get to know the students, your fellow creators so well. I get to know them so well. Dee gets to know them so well. And it's a really, really special format. And so I don't see any reason to kind of completely abandon that right now, but I do think that it means we probably will do less of them throughout the year generally. So I don't exactly know what it's going to look like, but like this is kind of what we're toying with right now. Dorothy says the fact that serving more creators is your motivation is the core of why this is going to work. Praise hands emoji. Thanks, Dorothy. And I mean, hey, if it doesn't just pin it on us, I'll take this bet all day long. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad that you're willing to like bet your, what's it? Hitch to my horse. Is that the saying? I appreciate that so much, Dorothy. Well, anyway, so yeah, if you have any questions about it, drop it in the chat. Otherwise, let's move right into Q&A for today's live stream. What questions do you have about sponsorships, negotiating brand deals, anything is fair game here. I'm excited to dive in. We got a chat here from Blessis. Biesis, sorry. Scared money don't make none. You're modeling managing risk right now. That's what leaders do. Holy cow. Biesis. Can I get let me get an amen. I wish I had I don't have an amen. I need to have like a amen. Let me do applause. How about applause? There we go. I love that. Man, I want to screenshot this right now. That is a dope comment. Thank you for sharing that. Scared money don't make none. You're modeling managing risk right now. That's what leaders do. That gave me goosebumps right now because that really means a lot to me. Thank you. That's really cool. Thank you. Oh, and yeah, Dorothy says hitch my wagon. That's the term. Yeah, my bad. Hitch my wagon. Oh, we got Bree from Need the Recipe in here as well. Good to see you. Anu says praise hands emojis. All right, I'm gonna take a swig. Leave some questions in the chat, and we'll get this thing going. Latinx Montessori says, love this. Thank you so much for always being so transparent and for the inspiration you provide. Your content is super helpful. Thank you. You're welcome. That's so kind of you. And I'm so glad to hear that. All right. Oh, all right. We got a question here from Elias Curry. Good to see you here. What's the best way to stop chasing brand deals and become the honey that attracts the bees? Wow. Love to hear. This is a great question. Here we go. All right. So this is something that I actually go into in a lot of detail in my Gifted to Paid course, kind of the more on-demand program at the earlier stage of your journey where you're trying to figure out, I'm getting a bunch of free stuff. How do I articulate to brands that need to compensate me, right? And so I have a whole module, actually, the whole first module is all around this kind of mindset topic around how do you curate an identity on social media that actually attracts brands. And I have a very simple framework that I actually teach in the course. It's called the NAV Checklist. So when you are like trying to decide, okay, should I post this piece of content, right? Especially if you're trying to, stand out as a big fish in a small pond, let's say, right? Or you're trying to or you're just trying to stand out in general, right? N stands for niche, right? So it's like, whatever niche or whatever content vertical, whatever I'm in, does this piece of content further establish my credibility in this niche? That's the question, right? And so it's like a very simple thing. If most of the time what you post is like van life, you're a van life YouTuber or something, or whatever on, let's say, Instagram, then posting a picture of your dog probably isn't going to, like posting a bunch of pictures of your dog is probably not going to curate your visual identity very well. Because again, like one of the things I talk about in the program, actually, let me go through the checklist and then I'll talk about this. So N is niche, that's align. N is niche, okay? A in the NAV checklist is alignment. And so it's like, if you post this piece of content, if a brand saw this, could they envision repurposing it on their brands O&O and social platforms, their owned and operated sites as well as their social channels? Because a big component of a lot of brand partnerships, especially earlier on when you're growing, is that the reason a brand is going to want to partner with you is so that they can repurpose your content, right? And so is this piece of, if you think about the dream brands that I want to work with, I go and I look at their Instagram feeds or their YouTube channel or their website, whatever it is, and you look at the visual quality of the content. Is this piece of content something that I think this brand they'd be happy to like repurpose, repost, in feed on their Instagram, something like that, right? And so like that's a big part of it, is like when a brand lands on your page, could they envision partnering with you? Like, oh yeah, this is a person who is like great for us. Like their content's high quality. We could imagine running paid ads with this. Like that's like boom, like that box is checked, right? And then the final V in the NAV checklist is visibility. So it's like, how are brands going to be able to find this piece of content and or you, right? And so it's like, that's when it comes down to like thinking about, okay, the actual methodology in which your, description boxes, tagging, captions, understanding like, what's your SEO strategy? Like one of my favorite examples of the SEO strategy. A lot of creators don't think about SEO, but it's like it's such a huge factor when it comes to your sponsorship strategy. Because was one of my favorite examples from Dee, who's my community manager. She created a goal. Her niche is Costco videos. That's what she does on her YouTube channel, and specifically Costco Canada, because she lives in Canada. And so she's like, I want to be the person, the creator for Costco Canada. Okay. And so she decided that I want to show up on the first page of Google search results for the keyword Costco Canada, as well as Costco Canada videos. That's what I want to say. And so for 1 year, she executed this strategy. She had at the time less than 5,000 YouTube subscribers, by the way. I think she has about 10,000 now. But like this was her strategy. So it's like, that's her goal. I have less than 5,000 subscribers, but I want to rank on this. So she did a bunch of research. She figured out how to title her videos, to like show up in Google search results. And so fast forward to today, and you search Costco Canada, do it. Any of you, Costco Canada videos, Costco Canada, Dee is on the first page of Google search results for that term. And so now when she goes out and pitches brands, any brand that sells their products in Costco Canada, in her pitch, she can say, I am the person who shows up number one on Google search results when you search for Costco Canada. If you sell your products in Costco Canada, you want to work with me. How compelling is that pitch? How compelling is that pitch? Right? And so again, it's like working backwards. It's like, what do I want to be able to say about myself, about my creator business, about my niche when I am pitching brands? If it's this, whatever, insert the blank, whatever you want, and then you work backwards. You say, okay, how am I going to make that happen? And sometimes it's going to be a long process to be able to do that. And so to answer your question, LAS Curry, the way to stop chasing brands and become the honey that attracts the bees, it's to do things like this. It's to think, okay, this is going to be something that requires, it's probably going to be a 6 to 12 month to 18 month thing for me to do this X, Y, Z. Let's talk about me. My strategy that I executed, I started this strategy in October 2020. No one knew me on the internet as a sponsorship coach. In fact, that was not a thing. There was no one, you Google sponsorship coach, that didn't exist. I knighted myself it. I came to a person that I met on Twitter, basically, and he was like a strategist, like a content strategist. And I basically said, okay, I want to be known on the internet as the sponsorship guy. This is my goal. How can we make that happen? And so we sat down and we developed a strategy. 10 tweets a day, multiple Instagram posts a day. I'm going to start live streaming. I'm going to do X, Y, Z, boom, boom, boom. I'm going to start a newsletter. I'm going to do all this stuff, right? And so it's like I'm creating a playbook. I'm going to be this is my goal. How am I going to get there? Right? And so literally it was just full court press on content to be known as the person within this niche, right? And fast forward to now, I have 100% accomplished that, right? Because to come full circle to your question here, I now have brands coming to me. I never thought that this was going to happen, but I now have creator economy companies coming to me who say, hey, our customers are creators. Oh, you have 25,000 creators on your newsletter now? We want to sponsor you, Justin, because you're the guy. You're the guy. A lot of these people, they're coming to me now. I do still pitch, but like a lot of these companies are coming to me now because I have established my credibility within this niche. Again, a niche that did not exist before. There was lots of people doing, social media coaches and like, I'm going to help you grow and all that stuff. And I just came out and I was like, no, I'm not going to talk about any of that stuff. I'm going to talk about sponsorships, and that's it. That's all I'm going to talk about all day long is sponsorship strategy. And so it's like, again, it's like, I believe that this playbook that I just talked about, that I ran over the last 2-3 years, basically, it was like, anyone can do this. Anyone can do this if you put your mind to it. I really, really, truly believe that. Okay. Hopefully that helps LAS Curry. Lucius Lou says, thanks for your help, Justin. I was able to contract sponsorships for $52,000 this year. Holy cow. Can we get some claps? Can we get some claps in the chat here? Can we here we go. Can we do that? Come on. Can we do this? That's amazing. Lucius Lou, that is just absolutely insane. I am just so proud of you. That's so wild. Oh my goodness. I'm going to pull that up on the screen because that is screen worthy here right now. Holy cow. Dude, that's wild. That's amazing. I appreciate that so much. I'm so proud of you. That's crazy. All right. Quick question, follow-up from Elias Curry. Thanks for this. This brings clarity. So I'm doing what you mentioned through NAV currently. So it's just a matter of consistently showing up and being patient. Yeah, 100%. But a big part of it is you're going to have to get on the radar of brands that need to know who you are. Because there's a lot of brands, like a lot of creators say this to me. They're like, I see this other creator who partnered with my dream brand. And it's just like, ugh. They don't even use that brand. How dare, doesn't the brand know that I've been shopping at Costco for 3 years? How dare they? It's just like, and I have to sit them down and I say, look, Costco has no idea who you are. Okay? They have no idea that you've like had a membership for 15 years or XYZ, whatever brand it is. They just don't know. They don't keep tabs. They didn't see that you mentioned them 4 minutes into every YouTube video. They don't know. You have to tell them. And so a lot of people ask me, like, how do you get on the radar of brands? And it's like, you have to tag them. You have to reach out to them. You have to proactively pitch them. You have to tag them on Instagram and say, you know, when you post something about them, you reach out to them and say, hey, thought your team would enjoy this little mention that I did in this YouTube video. And that's the thing that opens the conversation. So it's both. Elias Curry, it's both. You have to establish you have to run the NAV checklist playbook. Yes, consistently over and over and over. But at the same time, you have to actually do proactive outreach. You have to do proactive outreach so that they can get on your radar, so that you can get on their radar, because otherwise they're never going to have any idea who you are, right? And so it's like that is what greases the wheels. That's what starts this happening. And then to really answer your question, once you start establishing those initial relationships with those brands, with those agencies, then that's when you can start reaping a lot of what you've sown. And so as an example, like my wife and I, this is the playbook my wife and I have ran for the last decade. And so much of our business is inbound now because of these relationships that we've nurtured over many, many years. And guess what? We do good work for someone. That person goes and they get a new job at another agency. And guess what? They call us again because they had a great experience working with us over here. That person worked directly at a brand. They are now working over here at another brand. And now they're going to work with us again, right? So it's like, this is how it works. And so this is what I was saying and what I was talking about earlier on the stream about how this is a long game. If you envision yourself being a creator, you want to create a robust, scalable, sustainable business as a creator, it's a long game. And so this is what I'm teaching about sponsorship strategy, is that it's going to take a while to sow the seeds, but believe me, eventually you'll be able to reap them. And again, like, I have had people who have gone through the program who've been able to reap seeds very quickly because they've been able to provide a lot of value to brands in a short time period, right? So maybe it's only going to take 30 days, 60 days, 90 days to be able to, like, from first contact till when you can ultimately close your first deal, because you start a great conversation with the brand, you pitch them and they say, oh, I'm sorry, we don't have any paid partnerships that we're working on right now. And you're like, most creators are like, this type of thing. Sorry, I love sound effects. Right, they get really upset and then they just never talk to the brand again. And then it's the smart creators who literally will continue to nurture that. They'll continue to provide value. And then the brand, like the moment something slides across that person's desk, they're like, oh, this is actually perfect for that person who I was talking with, right? And so this is how it works. This is how it works. We've been on YouTube for 14 years, y'all. I'm not blowing hot smoke up your butt, okay? Like this is literally how it works. And this is literally what I talk about in the course, okay? So yeah, hope that helps. Oh, and Lucius Lewis says, I only have 20K subs on my main channel. I made $52,000 in sponsorships this year. Love to hear it. Oh my goodness. Yeah, glad it helped. Okay. Man, that's crazy that only have 20K subs. That's actually really amazing that you made 52K. That's really impressive. I'm saving that because that's amazing. That's really, really, really impressive. All right, I'm going to answer. I have some questions here in the IG chat that I want to make sure I get to. Anu Bajwa says, I've seen so many people talk about the algorithm, but never really got what they meant. Would you have any video recommendations from your channel or some info about it on how to expand your reach? So Anu, I actually don't really focus much on the algorithm, the mysterious algorithm. But I would probably recommend, checking out some videos. I know that, like Sean Cannell and Think Media has a lot of videos around that, understanding how to think about the algorithm and all that stuff too. Here's my best explanation, which is that there really is, like, people like to feel as though the algorithm is like this all-knowing entity. It's like almost like a bully, like, oh, the algorithm isn't showing my stuff to people. And in reality, the algorithm is nothing more than viewer behavior. That's really what it is. It's like, if someone, like, the best example I can give, let's say for YouTube, is that if someone sees a thumbnail of your video in their home feed or whatever, and they choose not to click on it, that is a signal to YouTube that, at least to this segment of that type of viewer, that your video didn't interest them. And so that will mean that they're going to show your video less to other people who are similar to that person. Contrarily, if someone sees it in their feed and clicks on your video, then they're going to show it more. And like, at the end of the day, especially with an algorithm like, or a platform like YouTube, it's basically as simple as that. There's other stuff at play, CVR and watch time and click-through rate and all that stuff, but like, retention, right? But at the end of the day, it's like, are you making good videos that people like want to click and want to watch for a long time period? That's really what it is at the end of the day. And it's similar for other platforms, Instagram, Facebook, etc. If someone is scrolling their feed and does not pause or engage on your content, leave a comment, whatever, then they may not see your next post. Oh my God. Okay. We've got Nick Nimmin here in the chat. Holy cow. This is like, let's get some praise hands, because Nick Nimmin is the perfect person to ask about this. I should just send you a link to come join me on the chat, Nick. But like, this is Nick, I know, has a bunch of videos on his channel about the algorithm and like all this stuff. He is the YouTube guru. So 100% go watch Nick's channel, because he definitely has videos around this topic. Again, like, I stay on my lane, like we were just talking about. I am a sponsorship coach. I know I can, I know my way around YouTube in general. I've been on there for 14 years, of course, but like, I am not an expert. I don't spend day in and day out. Frankly, when I look at my analytics, sometimes like I just get start beads of sweat start coming on my face, because it's overwhelming to me, at least. But yeah, definitely go check out Nick. We got Cal Barton in the chat here too. Oh, Nick says, I would love to, but it's almost 1 a.m. here. Well, the fact that you're on this live stream here, that really means a lot to me, Nick. I appreciate you. In fact, we actually had someone like at the very top of the chat, Sarah Dawn says, I learned about you from I'm pulling this up here just for you, Nick. I learned about you from the Nimmin Live broadcast, and this is the first time I've caught you. So look at you. You're changing lives over here, Nick. You're introducing people to my stuff, and I'm always so grateful, man. Really means a lot. I mean, talk about real quickly, I hope you're okay with me giving you some love here, Nick, is that talk about someone who has really cornered a niche. Like, there's lots and lots of people out there who, give advice about YouTube and all that stuff too. But Nick consistently over and over, whether it's from his VOD content or his live streams, he is the person. If just now, you were asking me a question about the algorithm, and there were basically two people I thought of, Nick and Think Media. Those are the two, but Think Media also, they talk a lot about gear and equipment and all this stuff. But even Nick more so, it's I'm going to talk about, this thing, just this aspect of, social media, just this aspect of YouTube. I'm your guy, right? Because again, remember we were talking about, the running this playbook of creating myself as a sponsorship coach. Anytime anyone on Twitter has any question, any issues with brands, oh my God, this brand's they're not paying me. What do I do? How do I pitch brands? Anytime anyone on Twitter, I swear, says stuff like this, I get pinged all the time. Talk to Justin, talk to Justin, talk to Justin. Because I'm in this little box, and they say, oh yeah, Justin's the sponsorship guy, and they tag me, and I'm cool with it. I love it. Keep doing it all day long. A lot of people feel I don't want to be pigeonholed. I don't want to be in this box. I don't want to only talk about that. Fine. That's fine. Go make another channel. It's fine. Go do whatever you want. But I'm telling you, if you want to see traction, if you want to be a big fish in a small pond, there are very interesting ways that you can, look, when I decided to double down on being a sponsorship coach and not talk about all these other things that I was thinking about, email lists, physical product businesses, fan funding, courses, coaching, blah, 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 blah. I was thinking about, that's what I'm going to talk about for Creator Wizard. When I decided I'm just going to pick a lane, I'm going to just double down on sponsorship coaching. That's all I'm going to do. When I made that decision, I was I can think of 1,000 things to talk about now about sponsorships, because now that I know this is like my thing, this is my shtick, this is what I'm gonna talk about all day long. I'm gonna analyze this thing from every different angle. You can't even imagine it. I am going to generate a body of work over the next decade that no one will be able to touch. And in fact, that's what I'm doing, not only from videos, but my articles, right? Like if you go and Google, I own so many search terms now. I'm number one, how much to charge for brand deals. I'm number one in a ton of like long tail search term, like high value search terminology that, qualify potential people that may want to work with me ultimately. Right. And so it's like, I'm going to generate such a body of work over the next decade plus. No one will ever be able to touch me. Like there's going to be lots of, big YouTubers who are going to talk about brand deals and strategies and all that stuff too. And that's fine, but that's going to be part of maybe like 2% of the type of content they make, or 5%. It's not going to be 100%. I'm the guy. Okay. I am the guy. If you want to work, like learn about sponsorships, I'm the person. And so it's like owning that and just like realizing that there's a lot of creativity in limitation, like, and so like not feeling concerned that you're going to really pigeonhole yourself. Like there's ways to get around that. Okay. Nick says, yeah, I was doing it last Saturday. We were doing exactly that. Someone asked a brand deal question and my brother said, go check out Creator Wizard for that. That's your thing. Hell yeah. Let's get some applause. Let's get some sound effects for that one. I appreciate that. Yeah. Nick says, man, I love that. I appreciate it, dude. Anna Bajwa says, thank you so much. Yeah, this has been a great help. So glad to hear that. Becky Pearson, good to see you, Becky. Becky is head of community for Boss Babe. Good to see you, Becky. I'm in Jay Klaus's The Lab private community with Becky. So good to see you. We've got R. Stevenson tuning in. We got Daniel Agachi. What's going on, Daniel? Jercel tuning in. Good to see you. We've got Spanglish Girl from TikTok. Madeline B. Ward. Mama Mia. It's Kia. Oh, good to see you. I recognize your username. We also got Brielle Joy. Brielle Joy says, I always pop up randomly, but I hope you and April and the kids are doing well. That's so kind of you. Thank you. That really means a lot. We're doing great. Thank you. Yeah. And Nick says, I think your timing is incredible. Building that now as the creator economy is going well into the future. Yeah, man. I mean, it's like a lot of people ask me like, oh man, how's this recession impacting your business? Are you concerned? Like all this stuff. And I'm just like, man, number one, no, the creator economy is in the second inning. I think we're early days with the creator economy. Yeah. YouTube's been around for 15 years plus whatever, but like there's so many like new innovations that are happening with content formats, with platforms, so many more people are, the definition of a creator is evolving, right? Like look at TikTok, for example, like you never like the everyday, like doctors and lawyers and factory workers and, people working at restaurants and like, X, Y, Z, all these things, it completely democratized the ability to make content, right? That really did not exist before. There didn't like seem to be, quote unquote, an appetite for people to learn about those types of jobs and things that people do in their daily lives and stuff like this, right? There was vlogging before on YouTube, but that was like, I'm a creator, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a vlogger, I'm going to create content, I'm going to do the thing, right? And yet it was like the advent of TikTok and short form and all that stuff showed that like, there's actually a big appetite for people who are not like quote unquote true creators, right? And so it's like, imagine if there's another, leap in terms of like bringing a bunch more people into the fold of people who are trying to grow businesses and grow, lucrative businesses, coaching courses, sponsorships, all this stuff too. Right. And so it's like, I say no, like we're early days. Like this is early days, I think. And so if you're a creator out there concerned, like, oh man, the recession, like brand deals, all this stuff, like, yes, it's going to be tough for the next like 12 months. Like, but we're going to emerge out of it. And it's going to be just fine. It's going to be bigger than ever. Brands are investing more and more money into this tactic generally, and less money into the traditional tactics like broadcast TV and all that stuff. So, I'm very, very bullish. Yeah. 100% bullish. Samar Brack says, who do you look up to for creating your coaching business? Do you pay for any masterminds or coaches that coach coaches? LOL. So it's funny, that you asked this because I am coachless at the moment. I was in a mastermind. I think I've talked about this on the live stream before that I paid $10,000 for last year. And it was fantastic. It was really, really like, it got me from like, like very early days with my courses and coaching and stuff like that. And I had a big inflection point through some of the, things that I was able to learn through some of the people that were in there and frameworks and stuff like that. But then I ultimately decided to move on from that because I felt as though I had gotten everything that I needed to get out of that program. And so I have dabbled with asked around and tried to, find other masterminds and stuff like that, other coaches. But I haven't yet. So the real answer is I don't have one. And I really want one. It's very lonely doing this sometimes, actually, candidly. It seems weird to say, but it's like a lot of these decisions, even a lot of the stuff that I talked about today in terms of these structural changes that I'm making to my business and the program, I don't know anyone else doing stuff like this. I know a few people, but like not really specifically how I'm doing it, right? And so it's like there's not really that many people I can talk to. Like my friend Jay is one person, who I really rely on, and he's amazing. He's great. He has a membership, and he's doing the thing, right? But he doesn't have a cohort-based course. In fact, that makes him want to die. He even told me that, like, I never want to do that, right? And so it's like I have a very unique business, right, where I've got a couple different ways in which you can work with me. I have my on-demand program for beginner creators. I have my one-on-ones. I have my, my cohort-based course. And then I have now this asynchronous coaching that's an ongoing thing. And so it's like, I don't know anyone else with those similar, but not the same, right? And so a lot of these decisions, I'm kind of making in a vacuum. Like I have my team and I have Jay and I have other friends, but like for the most part, it feels very lonely. It feels like, I don't know if this is going to work. Like it could equally chances failing as it does succeeding, and that's okay. Right. And so, yeah, like I very much am like actively looking to try to figure out ways to find, other mentors and stuff like that, because I'm a big believer in coaching and mentorship. And I want to be in one all the time, and I'm willing to pay big money for it. Like case in point, like, here's just like a quick anecdote, because I know we're almost wrapped. Quick anecdote. In my coaching, my mastermind program that I was in, that 10K one, one of the members said, a throwaway comment that someone said once in one of the meetings completely changed the trajectory of my business. For example, I was at the time, the investment for my program was $1,000, $997, I think. And one of the other members said, can you tell me, like, what was the breakdown of full pay to installment plans in your program? Like how many people just paid up front versus like installments? And I said 100% paid full pay. And he said, your course is way too cheap. You have to double it. And I was like, what are you talking about? He says the outcomes that people are getting are crazy. You're getting testimonials of people saying, I just signed $20,000, $30,000 worth of business, and they're going to continue to be able to nail down business like that moving forward. And you're charging $1,000 for this program? That is ludicrous. And the fact that like no one is like opting for the payment plan, that's nuts. And so I got that advice. I was like, wow, I guess this is too cheap. Like the ROI is truly crazy. And so I doubled the investment in the course next time to 2K. And I went from 16 creators to 42, the next creator. So you would think you double it, the investment, and like enrollments would go down, but that was the inverse actually happened. Right? So it was like that was clearly a very good investment, that 10K for that year-long mastermind. One thing that one person said, throwaway conversation, basically, was like changed everything for me. It got me to unlock this mindset around like, oh, like what I'm teaching actually is really like valuable. Because again, like a lot of people come to this, they start doing this thing, and there's some imposter syndrome. I felt it. And I was like, I can't charge very much money for this. Like people are really gonna, like, no one's heard of a sponsorship coach before. What is that? Right? This type of thing. Right. But then it was like, as I started to get all these testimonials started rolling in, oh, I'm like locking on all these big deals. I got paid 10K for a deal that you told me I was going to go for 5, but you're like, no, like you should charge this. And so it's like, as the social proof came in, testimonials, I my own like, confidence increased and all this stuff too. So it's like, I am a big believer in coaching and mentorship and all that stuff too. So I really do need to find one. If you know one, DM me, let me know. And Nick says, yeah, entrepreneurship is a very lonely thing. The hunger too. It's hard to find people who align with the drive. Holy cow. That is a true statement if I've ever heard it, Nick. My goodness. Yeah. Hi, I'm Niana says, no rules in this space is a good thing, but it also makes it hard to find someone doing the same thing. Yeah, that's 100% true. And Deanna, I think I saw a comment from you earlier that I missed that it was, what did you say? I want to go back up and see, what did you say? I'm in and out of meetings, but just want to wish you luck. Your passion has been so clear from the start, so I'm sure this will go well. Thank you. Wait, I just met Dee last night and I didn't make that connection. What a freaking small world. I knew she looked familiar. Whoa, that's crazy. How did you meet Dee? That's crazy. I'm sure some sort of YouTube event or something. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this and send it to her. That's hilarious. I'm going to save this. That's so wild. Super cool. Well, thank you so much, Deanna. That's very kind of you. Anyways, y'all, we're a little bit over time, but I was having so much fun today. Thank you so much for just listening to me vent. This was kind of a therapy session. Share some of my fears and my insecurities, my excitement, all this stuff. Really helps to just kind of be honest about that, and I'm going to keep you updated as how everything goes. Just very, very thankful for y'all. I'm feeling very blessed and grateful today. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I will see you next Friday for another live stream.